guys, it's Sekaar, and today we're going to be going over another one of my StamSorc builds for the Scribes of Fate chapter. I've been playing this build for the last few days, and everyone in Twitch chat has been asking me to make a build video on it. This build has been absolutely insane. It's been hitting like a truck. The survivability is through the roof. And honestly, overall, I think this is probably my favorite StamSorc build I've ever played. I don't mean to overhype it, but genuinely, this build has been so much fun. So a few things before we get started real quick. One, if you want to see the footage for this build, it'll be at the end of this video. So after I'm done talking about the skills, champion points, gear, all that stuff, we'll be playing all the footage. So stick around to the end to see all of that. But also one other thing is we recently started up a new YouTube channel. It's just for all my VODs for Twitch, and I would really appreciate if we can get everybody over here to go sub to that, because if I'm going to be completely honest with you and transparent, at 1,000 subs on that other channel, we can get to be monetized, and that would really help me out tremendously. So please, the link will be in the description. If you guys could just go over, click subscribe on that other channel, it would really mean the world to me, and it's just the freest form of support that y'all can give me, and I would highly appreciate it. But guys, without further ado, let's just get on with the build. So we're going to start with our character sheet. We're going to be an Imperial on our StamSorc. Imperial is, in my opinion, the best race for this because it's just going to help your overall sustain. StamSorc really doesn't need too much sustain because of the Dark deal, but overall, Imperial is really going to help your overall sustain. I really like it, and it makes it so that we don't need to build into it at all. Also, our attributes are going to be 31 points into health and 33 points into stam to give us a max magic pool of 16.5k. Max health pool of 33.2k, and a max stam pool of 23.7k. I like the amount of health that we have on here. It's nice and tanky. It's pretty buff, and I like that a lot. It's a lot of fun. Also, if you're looking at our Mundus, we're going to be on the warrior to increase our overall weapon damage. And then our food is going to be Jewels of Miserable. This is going to increase our max health by 3,900 and our stamina and magic recovery by 357 for 2 hours. I am no longer doing our Zorgas because it's too expensive, so we're just doing Jewels of Miserable. The amount of gold that I'm already saving is phenomenal, and I definitely recommend it. Also, we're going to be Vampire Stage 3 on this build. Vampire Stage 3, as always on all of our builds, is just super tanky. The lower health that we have, the less damage we take. So that is absolutely massive, and I definitely recommend that for our overall tankiness. Going on to our gear, our monster set is going to be Mayor Salak. So Mayor Salak, we're going to have our head in medium impen and our shoulder in medium well fitted. Mayor Salak is going to give us a line of max stam, and then when you deal damage with a melee heavy attack, you're going to spew a cone of corruption, dealing 6,336 disease damage to enemies over 4 seconds. And then the damage is also going to be increased by 10% for each negative effect that your enemies have on them. So that's absolutely massive. We're going to be really hitting our enemies with a lot of negative effects, so it's going to buff the damage of our Mayor Salak a lot, and it's going to be hitting like an absolute truck. I absolutely love this monster set for this build. If you do not have this, because, you know, it's kind of a niche monster set, it's in one of those DLC dungeons, maybe I'm trying to think of what else to run on this. It'd be tough to kind of run anything else. This is the thing that kind of brings the damage together on this build. I would definitely recommend at least trying to get this. Just grind for it. It's really not that hard. If you do it on vet once or twice, you're bound to get the medium helmet soon. I think you need a maximum of 3 runs to get the medium helmet at the very least. So, or at the very most, I'm sorry. So definitely try and get this monster set. It's really good for this, and honestly, for your overall endgame PvP, it's a great set to have. Also, moving on, our front bar set is going to be Curse of the Fire in the reinforced trait. So it's going to be our chest piece. Fire is going to give us a line of weapon and spell damage, max stam, crit chance, and then when you deal damage with a weapon, you're going to deal an additional 2,500 flame damage, and that can occur once every 2 seconds. So I know I've run Way of the Fire on a lot of my builds lately, but I just want to say this again, just in case you guys don't know this. So on that 5-piece item, it says that it occurs when you deal damage with a weapon, and that also counts on any weapon ability. So we're going to be using rending on this build, and rending leaves a dot afterwards, and every 2 seconds on that weapon ability dot, it's also going to proc Way of the Fire. So it is a nice source of damage, and it is great for your overall sustain damage. It's nice burst damage as well, and I really like this set. It's without a doubt my favorite set in the game right now. Also, we're going to be using Sash of the Hiss Sap for our waist piece. This is going to be a light impen piece. So this is going to be on our body at all times. We're going to be using 2 body and all 3 jewelry. So what Hiss Sap does is it gives us a Linus max health, line of weapon and spell damage, max magic. Then after being hit by a disabling effect, immobilization, or snare, you're going to be healed for 2,240 health every 1 second for 5 seconds. And also, what's really important is that this effect can apply every 1 second, but every second, but it cannot stack. So this is happening so often that we're just being healed constantly from this setup. In PvP, you're constantly being snared, immobilized, all that stuff. It is massive, and I definitely recommend this. The healing for this has been insane, and I love this so much. Also, our hands are going to be light hands of the Hiss Sap and Impen as well. Our legs are going to be heavy Greaves of the Fire in Reinforced. And our feet are going to be heavy Sabatons of the Fire in Well Fitted. So that's going to break our ratio down of weights into 2 lights and 2 medium and 3 heavy. It's not ideal, but I mean, that's the best way that we could set it up. Also, our jewelry is going to be Hiss Sap. We're going to be using an infused reduced prismatic cost enchantment. Sorry, I can't even speak right now. So infuse is going to really help our overall sustain on this. I felt like without this glyph on, I really had a tough time sustaining, and the damage on this was already great enough as it is that I really didn't even notice a little bit of weapon damage that I was losing. So this is a great way to just make it so that you're sustaining and you're not really needing to dark deal every 2 seconds. And I really think that this is the way to go. I definitely noticed the difference between having this and then having a weapon damage enchantment. The damage was not that noticeable, but the sustain definitely was. We're also going to be using 1 more reduced cost prismatic enchantment on this on one of our rings in the infused trait. And then our other ring is going to be infused with a weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. Our front bar is going to be dual wield Maces of the Fire. Our main hand is going to be Nirnhoned with a poison damage enchantment on it. And our offhand is going to be charged with a disease enchantment on it. I definitely recommend doing the glyphs this way because on our back bar, we're going to be using Vateshran Perfected Ice Staff in the defending trait. So we're going to be hitting them with flame, shock, and frost damage with this. And so we don't want to double up by using shock damage on our maces or flame damage or frost damage. So poison damage and disease damage were the 2 that we had left really. And this is a great way to stack our disabling or not our disabling effects, I'm sorry, our negative effects on our enemies. That way our Marisalak is hitting a lot harder. So between these abilities, we're increasing our damage on that by 50%, 3 from the Vateshran and 2 from each of these. Now on top of that, moving on, we're also going to be using Rending Slashes. So this is going to be our main spammable on this build. So you're going to hit them with a nice little bit of damage to start with. But on top of that, you're also going to be hitting them with the Hemorrhaging status effect. So that's going to be increasing our Marisalak by another 10%. So once you have that fully buffed up and your enemies are fully dotted up, you're going to be hitting them. Your Marisalak is going to be hitting 60% harder because of that. So your damage is going through the roof the longer you're in a fight. And also, Rending Slashes is a weapon ability, so this is going to be proccing your Wave of Fire every 2 seconds as well. So make sure your enemies are always having this ability on them. Also, Camo Hunter, this is going to be your source of major savagery and prophecy. So this is going to increase your weapon and spell crit by 2,600. So you always want to keep your critical up as much as possible on this build. And then also on top of that, you're also going to be getting minor berserk for 5 seconds after dealing damage to your enemy's flank. So always try to do damage to the back of your enemy. That way your minor berserk is always going up. Also, a crystal weapon. This is going to be a nice little ability to weave in between your Rending Slashes and then all of your other abilities. The damage on this is really nice, and to be able to kind of weave it properly between all of your abilities, it really helps, and your damage becomes a lot higher because of it. I definitely recommend it. Also, Streak. This is a great way to engage into a fight, to CC your enemy, to disengage from a fight, to really be able to... This ability really lets you just be in control of the fight, whether you want to back up a little bit and get your resources back, or go in and engage. This ability lets you do that. And also, when you've completely dotted up your enemies and they're really just starting to take a lot of damage, hit Streak over them, they're going to get CC'd, it's not blockable, and then you can just finish that kill off so easily. I love it so much. Also, Whirling Blades, this is going to be our execute on this build. So when your enemies are at lower health and, you know, they're roll dodging a lot, either or, start to hit this ability and they're just going to be taking a lot of damage. And then Dawnbreaker, the ultimate as old as time. Our tooltip on this, unbuffed, is 13,000. So being able to combo this with your other abilities, it just makes you hit really hard. And I just love the extra little bit of oomph damage that you can get after applying all of your damage to them. Also, Critical Surge. This is going to be your source of major brutality and sorcery, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 20% for 33 seconds. Also, on top of that, while active, dealing critical damage heals you for 3,696 health. So that is absolutely massive. That can happen every 1 second. So that's why we want to keep our critical rating up on our front bar, because we want to be able to crit. So having this up, we're healing a lot and very often, and I definitely recommend it, because also on top of that, we're going to be using Hurricane, which is going to be our source of major resolve, and so that's going to increase our physical and spell resistance by 6k. And then on top of that, we're also going to be getting a minor expedition, so it's going to increase our movement speed by 15%. But also, it's going to put a little bit of an AoE around us, so it's going to be damaging enemies every 2 seconds as well. So if that crits on any enemy, that's just, you know, it's just nothing damage. It's not going to hit them too hard, but it's going to heal us as well. So being able to brawl in that situation, having your crit surge heal you very frequently without really needing to go defensive is huge, and you just really am able to go offensive constantly. I've been really enjoying using this combo. It's a really old combo for StamSorc, and it's just a great way to keep your overall heals up. Also, speaking of heals, our little 5-second heal over time is going to be Resolving Vigor. This is going to be a nice 5-second heal. And on top of that, it's going to give you a minor resolve. So it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 3k for 20 seconds as well. Also, Dark Deal, this is going to be a great way to keep your sustain up as much as possible. So you're going to be sacrificing magic for health and stamina, and it's the best way to just keep your overall sustain up, because we're really not using that many magic skills. So being able to just sacrifice your magic to get some stand back is absolutely massive. And then also, next patch, this is getting buffed, so we're also going to be getting some extra damage from this as well. Also, Ellie's Susceptibility. This is going to be our last skill on our back bar. This is going to apply Major Breach to your enemies, so it's going to reduce their physical and spell resistance by 6k. And then on top of that, every 7.5 seconds that the enemy is afflicted with the burning... Every 7.5 seconds that this ability persists, I apologize, you're going to be able to get them with the Burning, Chilled, and Concussion status effect. So those are 3 extra status effects. So right there, this ability alone is going to increase the damage of your Marisalok by 30%. Also, on our back bar, we're going to be using Summon Charge Atro. I absolutely love this ability. It hits really hard, and to be able to use this in a situation is so nice, because a little extra bit of sustained damage that it is going out for those 15 seconds is honestly really good. And on top of that, it's a nice little line of sight for you, and it gives you a little bit of damage reprieve. And really, don't sleep on that damage at all. I have been loving it, and people have been really surprised by the amount of damage that this puts out. I've been showing them in my Twitch, and I really like this. I definitely recommend checking this out for yourself. And then moving on to our champion points, our blue slaughtables are going to be Focus Mending, Ironclad, Master at Arms, and Cleansing Revival. Our red slaughtables are going to be Pain's Refuge, Sustained by Suffering, Survival Instincts, and Celerity. And then what we care about in the green tree is Breakfall, Rationer, and Liquid Visions. Guys, that is the entire build. I really hope that you enjoy. I have been absolutely loving this build so much. It has been hitting like an absolute truck, and I definitely recommend trying this out for yourself. This build has been a lot of fun, and I just can't stress enough. This is just one of my more proud ones that I've put together. Also, 2 last things before we move on. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Clicking one button helps me out tremendously. And then also the people that are subscribed to the channel and have been subscribed to the channel, please check out the description in the video. I have a link to my other YouTube channel. It's just gonna be on my VODs. I would just appreciate those subscriptions over on that other channel. It's free. It helps me out. And once we get to that 1,000 sub mark on that other channel, we can make them monetized. So guys, doing that really helps me out a lot. I can't stress enough. Please, please, please. I would really appreciate it so much. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. We have no more talking left in the video. We're just gonna move on with all of the footage for the build. So guys, I hope that you enjoy, and I will see you guys on the next video. Later.
think it was something like this.